Bom dia.
Hey,
Tudo bem?
bom dia. Let me get my
Yeah,
headphones.
no worries, man.
Fala português?
Very little bit, man. Just from the jiu-jitsu gym.
Great, man.
Thanks.
Better.
All right.
Yeah,
E
hello.
aí, e aí?
Tudo bem?
Tudo bom? Good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. I truly appreciate everyone is super stoked. The chat's freaking ready for you, man. So thanks so much for being here.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's great to be here with
Heck yeah.
you.
Heck yeah, man.
How many times you been to Brazil?
Just once actually. Just once,
Really?
unfortunately. Yeah, but when I went there, I fell in love with the country so much that when we left, I said first I bought a bunch of cookbooks. Fans brought me cookbooks. My favorite thing I ate
Awesome.
was feijoada. That was my favorite thing I had.
Nice.
And it was
Yeah.
at I think it was at I could be wrong in the style. Was it Minas Gerais style? Is that correct? Or that might be
Minas
incorrect?
Gerais is a state. Yeah, Minas Gerais is a state, and they have very typical food as well from the region.
Okay, cool. So maybe it
It's
was that.
great.
I think it was Minas Gerais style feijoada, and I was just obsessed. And so as soon as I got home, the first thing I bought a bunch of feijoada ingredients, made feijoada, made caipirinha, and
All
then
right.
I said I want to do what the Brazilians are into, and I saw that was either football or it was Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I've always loved martial arts,
Yeah, yeah.
and I couldn't figure out which martial art to do. And being over there, I said it should be Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And so I started looking around and I found two incredible professors in Orlando. One named Marcio Simas. He was one of the people that brought Vale Tudo from Brazil to America. And then the
All right.
person underneath him named Gustavo Mugiari, he became my main professor. So I've been training there for about 8.5 years now. And
Ah, that's cool. Yeah. So you must be learning Portuguese from those classes for sure,
yeah,
right? Like I
just a
mean,
little bit.
working with Brazilians or studying with
Yep.
Brazilians and stuff. And we had, the attitude video with the Gracie family, including the Mr. Helio Grace, who was the kind of creator of this Brazilian jiu-jitsu style that mixing different fights, right, in his own way. And Royce Gracie was a really good friend, still is a good friend of ours, especially Paulo, who was training, Paulo and Igor.
Mhm.
They really trained that. I remember on the Roots tour, we even have a jiu-jitsu professor or whatever teacher on
Yeah.
the road with us, man. Can you
Damn.
believe it?
That's awesome. Yeah,
It was
I've
funny.
always heard stories about how you guys trained. I was like, man, that's
I
so
never
awesome.
did. I mean, I never really. I did judo when I
Mhm.
was really young, and but I think it was too. I don't know. I didn't know. I didn't like that. I like to watch, but never really to practice or something.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like I've always said, it's the worst hobby for a guitar player singer.
I know,
It
man. I
is
was about to say
terrible.
about the
Oh
hands.
man, like you can see this guy is just
Oh no, don't do that, man.
it's just
Stop right
sideways.
now.
I know. I found this great company though that they make these gloves that make your hands look like the penguin from
Really?
Batman. Yeah,
Wow.
and so it's like it's a safer thing, especially after I did this. I was like, I got to take this a little more carefully.
You know what? I love to play football or soccer, right? And especially the position of
Hmm.
goalkeeper, and of course that's the worst for a guitar player. I had to put a cast on my arm once because I was playing soccer and I hurt pretty bad and stuff. And after that, I start to realize, I'm old enough and I don't want to miss any tours, because of just because of leisure or something. I
Yeah.
do other sports and stuff, but I have to take care.
Yeah, for sure. Our Paulo, he loves soccer. Like that's something I wish I learned. We started our kids. My I've got twins, and they're both 2.5. We started them in soccer,
Awesome,
and at that age, they kind of sort of
awesome.
kick the ball a little bit, but it's something I really want to learn now. But yeah, I just loved the country so much. I loved the people, and I was like, I need to make the food. It's I've always found like you can learn more about a couple of things. You can learn more about a country through their food than ever. Like especially when I started tracing the
No
roots
doubt
of
about it.
feijoada's ingredients and where the stew came from and like how it was made, the Portuguese influence, the African influence. I just thought it was
Yeah.
just such an amazing, amazing thing.
Everywhere I go, I mean, we travel a lot, and I tried the local stuff. I make sure. Only in China, I was a kind of was a little too much for me
Hmm.
because I went to that market, whatever,
Hmm.
that they have every kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
I went to Indonesia and I drank snake blood and ate crazy stuff, but the China was a little too much. I was kind of disappointing with myself
Yeah, and I heard they
because
have
I go all the everywhere and I try to taste and local food and stuff. But I still do that. I really like
that is my favorite thing about touring, food. Like I like people are like, "Oh, what are you most excited
good
about?" I'm like, "Man,
restaurants. Yeah,
eating everywhere, just eating everything I can." Actually,
I spend my per diems to eat good, man.
oh
That's
yeah,
one thing I do.
that's what I say. I say like my paycheck. I was like, I spend money on food and nothing else really, like just food.
Definitely,
Yeah,
it's worth it.
yeah. We have not toured China yet. We have been. Oh, what was tour pass?
Yeah, yeah. No, no. I was just about to
Oh
say the
yeah.
album
So this comes out Friday, right?
August 13th. The have the booklet here. It's fine. I have you here somewhere. Let me see if I can find
That's on the
to
13th of
show
this
you
month,
all.
right? And that is, let me check the day. That is
See
this
if you can do.
Friday. There he is. I see the straps. And that's why I do that. That's why I do that on my guitar straps from jiu-jitsu. So
All right.
each
Yeah,
stripe
yeah.
is
Cool.
a record. And that's why I've got that
Awesome.
amount. There it is.
So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you very much, man, for doing that with us. It was
Oh yeah, man.
amazing, participation. It was really a challenge, to put together everything during the pandemic and everything. But with the help of you and everybody and our friends, that we made it happen. And I'm very proud of this album, and we didn't plan to make an album, and here it is.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, tell us more about the record. So who do we have on the record? Who's on there? Why did you guys decide to do this record?
Yeah, I mean, because we had the new album in February, Quadra, and we were ready to go on tour with Sacred Reich in the States and Canada and all the festivals in Europe and stuff. And we have to stop everything, on March, of course, everything stopped. And we created this event on the internet, every Wednesday that we could keep our communication with the fans and do our performance of the music with this new format, everyone at their own houses and stuff. And remember old stories on the storyteller and kept us busy, working. Because I mean, we lost the backstage, we lost the tour bus, we lost the communication we have as a band. The band is not only, music and the stage, it's a lot more than that. The surviving we do daily on the road and etc., where we create our ideas and we talk about different stuff. So this Wednesday, every Wednesday was our everything, our stage, our backstage, our tour bus, they kept us together working towards an objective. And we didn't think about the album, was just doing that because we didn't know how long we'll take, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. And, still we here,
Mhm.
after almost 2 years. And at the end of 2020, we had an amazing material in our hands. We decided to organize into an album, and it came out. It's great.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm super honored to be on that. It was a blast to do that. We did that live too, so everyone loved that. Now I want to go like back to the beginning. Like, what was the first time you ever heard music? Maybe rock or metal. What was the first time? What age were you? When did you decide to pick up a guitar?
Well, I mean, my grandma played the guitar. She came from Slovenia down to Brazil after the Second World War. My mom was born in Slovenia in 1945, and then she came down to Brazil in 1949. And so my grandma could play folk songs, from the region, from Slovenia and Austria and all that stuff. And she knew 5 or 4 different chords, basic chords and stuff. So I actually started playing the guitar with her guitar, learning with a teacher, of course, like Brazilian popular music and stuff. But listening to rock and heavy metal, I wanted to play electric, but I never really quitted the acoustic. I always kept parallel to the electric guitar, and still today I still study classical guitar and etc. So but rock, was, I mean, the first memory I have was when Alice Cooper came down to Brazil in 1974. I remember watching TV with my mom, and it came up with this ad, the talking about the show and stuff, and I was really impressed. Like snakes and the whole painted face and long hair and all the pyros and all that stuff. And I asked my mom, "What the fuck is that?" Not what the fuck's that. What is that, mom? What is that? Mom? So this is rock and roll. They're crazy, but they're millionaires. Oh, cool. I remember clearly, that kind of connection, and stuff. And And it was the first time that I really realized that there was a profession, that could be made out of it,
Mhm.
that theater and all that stuff. And then, of course, listening to Queen and Kiss with older friends and neighbors, especially my neighbor. He has like an amazing collection of vinyl, and he made me cassette tapes of collections, and Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, and stuff. But especially Queen and Kiss. Queen came down to Brazil in '81. Kiss came down in '83, and then in '85, Rock in Rio. That really opened the South American doors, for
Mhm.
the worldwide circuit for all the international bands. And I was in those two of those events. I couldn't go to Queen because I was too young. My mom didn't let me go and stuff. I was really pissed off and sad. But Kiss, I went on '83, was great. It was my first big, professional show, and changed my life. And Rock in Rio, of course, to see Ozzy and Maiden and all that.
That's so cool. That's so cool. When did you first start your first band? Like when you're like, hey, let's find some like-minded friends. Let's play some music together.
Yeah, it was around like '83, '84. When we started listening to that kind of music. I was already playing some acoustic guitar. I wanted to. My mom bought me. She gave me my first electric guitar, which was a really nice instrument. It was not like a professional or whatever. It was a professional instrument. It was not like a Fender or Gibson, but was a this Brazilian brand that was really cool and tuned well and stuff. It was a good guitar to start. And listening to the music and friends that a friend of mine had like a Def Leppard patch on his pants. I said, "Hey man," it was a reason enough, to start a connection there, and it was like that, forming the band, my first band in school, really. We did this back in '85, '86, something like that. We did a science fair, that the school have. We talked about heavy metal and thrash metal specifically. We put a lot of posters on the classroom, like Metallica, Slayer, Venom, all that stuff, and we just turned the music loud, and was like just a pretext for us to have the stage on the sports court there,
Mhm.
and the school really built a stage for us, and we could play. That was my first time I actually went on the stage to play, to perform. My dad was there, my sisters, my close friends, everybody. I was so nervous, I couldn't face the crowd, and I was the singer, it was a trio.
Yeah.
It was me, the drummer, and the bass, and I was only looking to the bass player singing. I couldn't look to the front. I was so afraid and scared. But I went through. I did the whole show and stuff. It was a great experience, and here I am.
That's amazing. That's amazing. What's so cool whenever I think about your music is, and I'm sure you guys are aware, hopefully you're aware of the foundation in which you helped build so many different amazing bands. I mean, even when I look like, because I love black metal, I love extreme metal, and I look where it comes from. And a lot of these earlier black metal bands, they were so influenced by your early material. And then you look at bands like
True,
Machine Head, you look at bands like, I feel like bands like Korn and Slipknot were so influenced by Roots. And you look
no
at
doubt.
Gojira. Gojira is crushing right now, and there is so much Sepultura in their sound that it's just such an amazing thing. Even us, like Trivium, we wouldn't exist. Like our thrash side came from when you guys were doing thrash, and actually we covered Roots when I joined the band when I was 13. We had a different
Awesome.
singer at the time, and I was just the guitar player. But we covered Roots like for one of our first like local shows
That's
ever,
killer, man.
and then we did Slave New World on In Waves. So it's I hope you guys know because you guys have influenced so many things. Like, have you felt that? Have you seen that? Are you aware of that?
It's great, man. I mean, the album itself, it represents that. I mean, with the I mean, we have Dave Ellison, Scott Ian, Devin Townsend, but we also have we have Mark Holcomb, we have the three ladies from the bands here in Brazil, from Crypta, from Hateful Murder and Torture Squad. There are bands, there are a different generation that really were and influenced by Sepultura somehow in some different parts of our career, and that's great. Once I was Judas Priest came down to Brazil with Tim Ripper Owens and stuff. We went to backstage, and Glenn Tipton came to me and said Chaos AD was an influence for him.
That's amazing.
That blew my mind, man.
That's
I mean,
so
why?
cool.
No, this is it's not possible.
Yeah.
It didn't supposed to happen. It's like I mean, Glenn Tipton taking down Judas Priest, it's my school, on my first riffs to learn and everything. And Judas Priest, one of my favorite bands and all. And to listen something like that from him, it's not even on my dreams. It's like it's really reality sometimes is confusing.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
so cool. So cool that we kind of really, not influencing only the new generations, but also our idols as well.
Mhm.
It's fantastic.
That is so cool. Yeah, because when I first met my Trivium guys, like when I first met Paolo, he was in a three-piece. We were both in three-piece thrash metal bands. Trivium was like kind of a death thrash band. We sounded like old school
Yeah.
thrash, a little bit of the band death, a little bit of death metal, and then his band was full-on thrash. Like they were Overkill, Sepultura, Slayer, Metallica was their kind of vibe, and their band was so influenced by your early most records. And for us, just getting into Trivium, like it was the latter eras, Chaos AD and Roots, that got us into it. So it's really interesting when you see. I think that's even how like a band like us got the courage from bands like you guys. Like you can do something different. You can flex different muscles of what the band is. A
That's great
record
to
like
hear, man.
Arise versus Chaos AD versus
Yeah.
Roots versus Quadra. It's like so many different fun things that still sound like you guys. And I feel like that's bands like you guys and Metallica having that courage to do that really inspired us even.
That's great to hear, man, because that type of inspiration that really matters is not the type of scale or of type of style we do, but just really not being afraid of trying out and really risking, because art in general is a risk. Otherwise, you'll be copying yourself or somebody else because it's been done already. Otherwise, you wouldn't be creating something new. Like uh, throw the light on the darkness, on the nowhere nobody went so far. And that's what we try to do. And we use the elements here from Brazil, the percussion that we kind of denied before,
Mhm.
because we were so radical, just listening to the stuff trash, and everything outside from Brazil is better than from Brazilian stuff. Once we started touring 1989 Beneath the Remains, we start seeing Brazil with a different eyes and different ears, and like an astronaut, see the planet Earth from the moon.
Yeah.
You have a totally different perspective of your home, like of values and a lot of different stuff. And we saw Brazil was very unique, very different from anywhere else. And we started slowly, using those elements, especially the percussion. If you go to Rio de Janeiro on the samba parades, you have like 300, 400 people just playing the percussive instruments, the drums itself. It's like it's so powerful, it's so real. And we just added some distorted guitars, and that was it. That
That's
was the idea, basic idea, to
yeah.
mix the heaviness that was already there with our heaviness, distortion, and our way of playing. And of course, on the tour of Arise, we even got more influence from Brazil outside Brazil, which is funny. But Chaos AD and Roots was really exploded there. And until today, we keep that. We keep those elements of percussion and different rhythms and different instruments. That it's really exciting. Why not, right?
Yeah, that is so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, because and you guys put Brazil on the map as far as like the rest of the world looking at metal. I feel like people didn't really look at Brazil as a capital of metal until Sepultura, which is freaking awesome. And just hearing you mention like looking at where you came from for ideas and for inspiration, which is it's a really cool parallel for myself. I've been working on this side project for years, this black metal record, and I was completely stuck with lyrics. I didn't know what to do. I was like, man, I wish
Yeah.
I was Scandinavian so I can write about Thor again. But and then Ishan from Emperor was producing. He's like, write about your Japanese side, and I was like, oh yeah. I just looked at that and we filled the record with traditional Japanese instruments and Japanese stories, and
Wow.
it's like
That's
that.
great,
That's such
man.
a fun thing, and I love that metaphor you said is like being an astronaut and seeing the planet from there, and that's
It's
what a
true.
great
Yeah. I
thing.
mean, here in Brazil, we have especially in Sao Paulo, we have a very strong Japanese connection. I mean, it's the
Hmm.
biggest colony outside Japan is in Sao Paulo. So the food and some traditions, a lot of friends, from the culture. And of course, we did the work with Kodo drummers on the Against album. We went to Sado Island, it was an amazing experience. And using those, your own culture, it gets more natural. We didn't have to force anything. Of course, with Japan, we went further because we had roots. Max left the band. We wanted to try something else, something different, not try to abuse what we already done on roots. That's why we went to a completely different part of the world and completely different concept. But when we started using those new elements, was our elements that we kind of denied because we were idiotic young, radical, people, whatever, that and then slowly, of course, touring and getting older and stuff, trying to embrace that. But it was easier because it was ours, as Brazilians, was very natural to use that.
So cool. And another great thing that you guys have always had early on that I feel like sometimes gets lost in metal. Like it's cool when metal uses stories and analogies and stuff, but your guys' lyrics have always been incredibly important, very societally reflective, which I think
Yeah,
is so great because we don't see that enough in metal. And I feel like that's something you see a lot in hardcore, you see a lot in punk. But the fact that you had that
true.
early on, especially like a record like Chaos AD, I feel like all the lyrics can apply to right now in the world, which is so cool. And the lyrics of Quadra and everything that you've been doing throughout. Like, what was the interest in wanting to write kind of in that direction sometimes?
It's more of the hardcore and punk influence for sure. When I joined the band, of course, Max and Igor were more of the death metal type and not actually too much punk, but more the death metal and thrash. I joined the band and I was a lot more Dio and Ozzy and Def Leppard and Maiden, more the traditional heavy metal, of the lyrics of, dragons and rainbows and all that stuff, Led Zeppelin
Yep.
and Sabbath, that kind of stuff. But I learned a lot with them, with Max and Igor, about the hardcore world and punk, and of course Motorhead and Metallica. They kind of always, especially Motorhead, of that crossover of that punk attitude to be a little more raw, more direct. Simple riffs and stuff. And Metallica, of course, using T-shirts, GBH, Discharge, Misfits, and the Ramones, and that kind of stuff. So on Chaos AD, I think that type of influence was really strong, stronger than ever. And I start liking that kind of stuff, because I was too much metal, no punk for me. Thank you. you know, and then slowly I was, of course, incorporate and start to listen. And I love Dead Kennedys, the Clash, the Sex Pistols, and GBH and the Ramones, of course, all that vibe. English Dogs, was a band that I loved during those days. And it was really cool to see that we could mix more of the technical together with the raw stuff. And Chaos AD, I think, was really a Sepultura album. That's what the album we really found ourselves with the touring, coming back and forth from Brazil and starting to live outside. We were living in Phoenix, Arizona. Our life changed a lot, very quickly. And that album was really what Sepultura was all about. Groove, Brazilian, heaviness, of course, aggressiveness, and the lyrics, of course, talking about Brazil politics. The chaotic situation that unfortunately we still have, and basically we're worse than ever. With the type of people they are on the presidency and etc. But and then we express that on our lyrics. Nothing better to talk about the stuff you live instead of just creating fantasies.
Hmm.
And we have plenty
Yeah.
to talk about. I mean, the same Dead Kennedys without Ronald Reagan, for instance, wouldn't be possible.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right? It's like you have that kind of friction that it's really creative, in art. And it's a paradox, but it is what it is. It's very inspiring in the
Hmm.
end.
That's so cool. That's so cool because it's. I love what you said too, like addressing the stuff in song. Is it? I don't know if it's an attitude you see in Brazil as much, but in the States, what we see quite a bit is like when bands start to sing or start to talk about things that make some of their fan base uncomfortable, they're like, stay out of it. But I think it's our
Yeah,
responsibility as musicians to stay in it. We have to, and that's why we create what we create, so we can get these feelings out, so we can educate people and let them know. So again, that's like,
exactly. And
yeah.
as musicians, as touring musicians, we have this kind of privilege, to travel the world and talk to our fans. Our fans are the main source of information. How far they travel to go to a concert? Do you have money to buy a shirt? Do you have money to buy a beer? Where you staying? You stay in a hotel? You sleeping in your car? You have that kind of reference that you have a more realistic idea what the country really is and what they're going through, instead of the fantastic news or the newspapers that always create something to sell
Hmm.
instead of just informing people. So I think this helped us to have a more realistic idea what's going on, and we can translate that to our music, and without that communication we have the fans, we would be able only to rely on the official outlet.
Hmm. It's so cool here because you and I, like, we've met in passing, we've never been able to talk about this stuff before. But I feel so encouraged too. Like the same way you think about a lot of this stuff is the same way like my band guys feel, and it's really cool to see that. I do think too. The first thing you and I talked about today was about food and our open mindedness to food. And I've
Yeah.
always said I feel like an open mindedness to food, to willing to try everything and find out what you like and what you don't like. Like those people are the most open-minded people in the world, and you've proven it
That's
today. I
very
think you
true.
and I both proved that because we want to go around and learn. And I love what you said, like learning about the people, talking to the people coming out to support your band. That made me think of our first tour in South America, like having this conversation. We met these kids that had traveled by like 5 buses from, I think it was
Yeah,
maybe from
man.
Honduras to come to see us in Argentina. And
I know.
these guys like ate like once or twice
Honduras,
in 3 days.
Argentina, this is
Yeah,
amazing.
it's crazy, man. And it's just like I thought about that right when you said that, and it is so amazing, and that's why I love like this streaming thing I do is really just to stay in touch with the
Yeah.
fans. Like you said,
Yeah.
what you guys do with the weekly quadra, like just being able to keep that living organism, keep that Sepultura beast alive, keep that Trivium beast alive. It's what fuels
and
us.
and you and you are the one who's doing an amazing job. I mean, I could follow during the pandemic situation. I mean, we were home, and the way you expanded your possibilities
Thanks, man.
on technology, that's the same that we did with Sepultura. We tried to expand our possibilities of being a band. I never expected to be a band, or to be Sepultura without the stage, without touring. That's not a concept that was possible in my mind. But here we are. I
Hmm.
mean, after almost 2 years, we're still a band, very united, very strong, and because of this technology and Sepultura that kept us alive. And that's very inspiring. That we are able to keep going
Hmm.
regardless of the difficult times we're having now. And your stuff among, like, Charlie Benanti, and then Metallica came with the Metallica Mondays and stuff, and doing the collaborations and stuff that inspired us to create our own. And it's very inspiring for all of us.
That's so
So
cool.
congrats, man.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm just lucky. Like, luckily, I feel like metal fans are the greatest in the world, and your band and our
No
band
doubt
are
about
the
it,
we're
man.
the living
No
proof of
doubt.
that. They've been able to help keep us alive, and I love seeing too. You mentioning like your band. Obviously, you guys are doing these things together, and I feel like that's what's so important too. That Sepultura and Trivium, we're so unified, I believe, with our bands. Like I always want to see my guys. I want to jam with them. We want to be
Yeah,
creative, and I think that's why even you guys have been able to keep the Quadrito going, and we were able to keep doing what we were doing because we want to be around each other. We want to make music. I think that's when you can feel it in the music. You feel like this is a
definitely.
band, and I love
that
that.
that was always very important for us, man. I mean, that's why it didn't work, with Max and then with Igor and stuff. I mean, we would just go in different, whatever frequencies,
Hmm. Hmm.
different ways or different ideas and different, concepts of what Sepultura should be, what Sepultura should go, and decisions were made, and here we are. I mean, we have to deal with the present,
Hmm.
and that's very important for us, to keep that, today, and not try to rebuild or trying to relive something that is not there anymore. So it's um it's a journey that, we learned a lot with, and even with the hard times, to try to find a new singer and try to find new label and all that stuff, and it's not easy, but it didn't supposed to be easy, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And what's so great, like what you said, is knowing who you are. Like I feel like what I'm seeing a lot nowadays, maybe with some younger bands, some bands I feel like did something really fantastic. I always say it's important to take chances if you believe in it. Like if you're like, hey, I want to try this different thing with my band, that's important. But I feel like I do see a lot of other bands doing this. I want to grab these fans over here, these fans that don't know who we are, and try to bring them
True.
over here with something they
Yeah.
might like, then
Yeah.
abandoning their own thing. But that's what's so cool is like you said, we know what we are, and you kind of know where you can fluctuate outside of that. And I feel like that's a thing that Trivium as well. Like we know what we are and what we should, how far we should go. There's 3 records we did that I've always been super critical of, like the Crusade, Sounds of the Snow, Vengeance Falls, where I've always critiqued it a lot. Nowadays, I love it a lot more, but when I realized what we did, we rebelled against ourselves almost too much. Like sometimes it's good to rebel a little bit, but we're
Yeah,
like, hey, let's get rid of everything that this was the last one before, or let's set rules. And I feel like when you kind of like let the organism, you let the Sepultura animal live, you let the Trivium animal live, it knows what to do. And I think it speaks
true,
through the
true. It
members.
knows
Yeah.
limits.
Yeah, it does. It does. Like almost those unspoken limits, which is really cool.
Yeah, but you said about the relationship with the band, and if you don't have a cool relationship, it's really hard to create something together. To exchange ideas and to express, oh, I have this, or I have that. It's really hard. We went through many different situations, and I always praise for a nice environment to work in.
Hmm.
Especially with the crew. I hate people screaming and being fucking bossy around. People that just have a fucking backstage and think they are a fucking imperator of Rome or something.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like I hate that type of attitude. And we see that a lot around the business and stuff. So, but it's hard enough to be away from your home, family, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. When we are touring, really, it's really hard, and then you're going to be miserable on the road fighting with people. This makes no sense to me.
Hmm.
I mean, of course it's not easy, you have problems and stuff, but once you are united towards the same objective and everyone doing their parts, it's much easier to resolve problems instead
Hmm.
of just creating more problems.
Man, you're blowing my mind today because these are all the things that I hear myself say all the time. Like it's so cool,
That's great.
like to have someone with the same like. It's so rare. Like I'll talk to a lot of the band guys. I remember sometimes at festivals we'll have other bands joke. They're like, "Man, everywhere I look, all four of you guys together. Like, what are you doing?" Like, well, we want to be around each other. And I said it
Yeah,
to I said it
yeah.
I said it yesterday out loud. I forgot who I was saying it to, but I was like, if I got to be away from my kids and my wife, I want to be
Yeah,
around the
yeah.
people that I love to be around. And the same thing you were saying about crew. We used to have bad crew. Actually, there was this. We had this really bad tour manager that we didn't know was mean to opening bands that we'd bring out,
Yeah,
and
man. I hate that shit,
yeah,
dude.
there was like a
Fucking hate that.
5 to 8 year rumor about me. There was this line that people kept saying, "No one eats till Matt Heafy eats," and finally I found out what it was. Opening band came up after a long 20-hour drive, went up to catering to grab a bite. And the tour manager said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Nobody eats till Matt Heafy eats." It's like I didn't tell the guy to say this. So,
Yeah.
so I'm actually gonna start calling my podcast that, and I've got like
Yeah.
T-shirts with it now. No one eats till Matt
That's
Heafy
awesome.
eats. But like that vibe is so hard to tour with, and we went through. We've had a people always criticize our drummer changes. We've had now 5 switches, but finally, like we're at the all four of us. We want to hang out. We want to see each other's kids. We want to eat with each other. And when you have that bad dynamic, yeah, touring is just it's impossible.
Loss.
Making
It's
music is
horrible. It can
impossible.
be the best thing in the world, but it can be fucking hell, the worst
Yeah.
thing in the world. And that's why bands break up, people leave, and you have to fire fucking crew people in the middle of the road, which is a fucking,
Yep.
hell and stuff. Everything happened, we learn how to deal with this shit. So here we are now with a great crew, great people working. It's really nice. We go to the practice room, things flow. We talk about football, women, drugs, whatever, politics, and it is what it is.
Yep.
We respect each other and we're doing something very special together. Why not?
Yeah. That's so cool. That's so cool. It's same as us. I mean, I think that when our two bands finally go on tour together, it's gonna be food and just having a good time.
Dude.
Like that's what we
Yes, I
gotta do
cannot
it.
fucking wait,
We
man.
we gotta we gotta do it. We gotta get Sepultura Trivium together on a run. That'll be so fun.
Definitely.
Be
That'll be
so
fucking
fun.
great.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
Like
it's been some talks in the past about that, but
yeah,
unfortunately it never really happened. But
yeah. We got
when
to.
it does, it'll be the right time
We
for
got to do
sure.
it, man. It's just so cool. Like you guys have that same vibe we have, and it's hard to find. Like we'll find other bands that like they kind of get along. There's like little factions and stuff, but
Sure.
it is that chemistry. Like I love when we go into the practice room together and we go play together. Like we almost don't even have to talk to each other sometimes with the riffs. Like I'll just be like, "Here's what I
Exactly.
have," and then they'll just finish. Like Corey will finish the piece, Pablo will finish the piece, Alex will finish it, and I feel like you guys have that, and it's really exciting, and it's
Things get easier,
yeah,
it's easier to put together, and it's fun. I mean, I always remember why I'm here, because I love to play guitar, man. I love to be that kid with the dreaming of meeting or just seeing a fucking Iron Maiden concert, for that matter, from Brazil, and to play guitar, man. I went to with my friends and enjoy myself. And if you don't lose that, of course you're going to grow. You're going to have to deal with business and lawyers and contracts and fucking labels and managers. But if you do what you love, you're going to go through that, and you're going to learn
Hmm.
during the process.
Yep.
And a lot of some of the musicians that I met during the road, they kind of gave up this life. Oh, this is too hard. It's understandable, but any life will be hard, man.
Hmm.
There's no perfect path. You're gonna go whatever. You're gonna be a doctor. You're gonna be a lawyer. You're gonna have your troubles. You're gonna have the whatever the vices of certain professions that we do in our profession.
Hmm.
And you have to deal with that. That's the learning path. That's the learning process. Otherwise, everything is perfect, and why what's the point?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know
Fantastic in life is hard to get to. It's
Yeah, even
so.
when we did this album inspired on the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, Dante 21st, and the hell, it's fantastic, and like people fucking vengeance and blood and whatever, and purgatory as well, the scenes and stuff. But then on Paradise, it's boring.
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yep.
everyone just talk about Dante's hell,
Yeah.
because that's more popular. That's a lot of pieces are around that and paintings and stuff, but nobody talks about fucking Paradise, which is a beautiful,
That's a great point.
everything's perfect.
Yeah. And that's why I've always been drawn to. That's why metal called to me. Like when I first got into music, I got into pop punk. It was the first thing, like pop punk. And I tried it for a band, didn't make it in. I wasn't very good at guitar. And then someone lent me the Black Album, and I was like, "That's the kind of
All
music I want to
right.
learn." And I locked myself in my room, started playing stuff like that. Then I started discovering everything else around it: Metallica, Slayer, Pantera, Sepultura, and start learning these things. And then I was able to try out for Trivium that existed for 2 weeks, made it in the band. But what I always say to people, it's like the reason why I don't gravitate towards stuff that's like songwriter crew rock, songwriter pop country. Like there's a time and a place for music that says everything is great, but I feel like what's so good about metal is that we address the dark stuff to help us get over it personally, to help our fans get over it personally. I feel like that's when
Perfect.
I feel like some of the greatest people I've met have always been metal people who can address the darkness and get through it
Perfect.
and get past it with their supporters. And that's
That's great. That's
yeah.
a great point, man. I mean, that's where religion, I think, does it bad for the human, because it doesn't teach you how to deal with it.
Hmm.
Oh, you're
Hmm.
gonna resolve later when you die.
Yep, absolutely.
No, it's now.
Exactly, exactly. That's why, like, I see a lot.
We have to deal with our situation now. We
Definitely.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think the internet chopped up a little bit. Yeah, that the religion thing's perfect because, like, it's a perfect example. Like, I'll see a lot of people, they talk about, which is great. They talk about mental health, or people say my mental health is bad, but they don't offer, like musicians, they don't offer the solution. They just say it's bad,
Yeah,
like yours. But whenever I bring it up, it's like it's bad. Here's what you do to work at it. It'll never be
yeah,
cured, but here's what you can do to help
exactly.
yourself. And I think that's what our music does for people. It shows here's the problem, and what we did was put it to song.
And that's why heavy metal is the most popular style of music in the world. Sepultura has been in 80 countries, 80 countries in 36, 37 years. Uh, every type of politics and religion, uh, and heavy metal. It's very powerful, man. It's very peaceful because it unites. We went to India, we went to Morocco, we went to whatever. I mean, Armenia, Georgia, 5 shows in Siberia. Man, the
That's
Driven
amazing.
goes everywhere as well, but and Cuba and we love to go there because it's always a personal experience, of course, to visit places and to meet people, but also to have that interaction with the fans. They are so uh, grateful that we go so far, to be there with them, and the same with us. Thank you so much for coming here tonight and having this amazing, unforgettable situation for all of us. And I miss that so much.
Hmm.
I need to tour.
Yeah, we miss it too.
It's like too much, too long, and it's like it's really hard, man. I mean, for a touring musician like ourselves, but when it comes back, it's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. Yeah, we're getting ready to go next Thursday for just the U.S. So it's kind of contained the U.S. and Canada. I
This is
just
my
oh
my,
no
my
worries.
son.
No worries.
Oi, oi, Enzo. Oi. Pede pro Johan, talvez ele possa te buscar. Tá bom. Não acabei aqui. Valeu. Tchau.
No
Sorry,
worries.
man.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. You said it was your
Kids.
son? Yeah, I know it is.
Yeah, my son. He's like 15. He was in like on the gym, and but it's really close. He's gonna walk back.
Oh, if you need to get him, like it's I
No, no, no. It's
okay.
fine. It's fine.
No
It's all
worries.
good.
That's awesome. I can't imagine because like my kids are only 2.5, so like I can't imagine them giving me a call. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I know. Not yet, but wait.
Yep, yep. Well, that's my biggest fear now because like because of the pandemic and because when we had them, then we got in a record cycle. I've barely been on tour since then. So now that they've got these bigger personalities, I'm like,
I
man,
know.
like my daughter, she'll be all right. My daughter, 90% of the time wants Ashley. Our son, though, 90% of the time wants me. So I feel bad, but luckily we got FaceTime now. So that's my biggest fear right now before I leave. I was like,
Yeah, it's what it is. I mean, I don't remember the last time I spent so much time sleeping on the same bed, you know,
yeah.
for a year and a half, and having this type of routine as a husband, as a father, as a son, as a friend, you know. I never had that for many, many, many years, and it was really hard to readapt, or to reconnect with this other me, you
Hmm.
know, that it's me, but I never used that me, you
Yeah.
know, in the sense that I wasn't complaining also, "Oh, I don't have time to study, I don't have time to do proper exercises, I don't have, you know, diet, whatever." But now, you know, I quit alcohol a year and a half ago, even before the pandemic, which helped me a lot to clear my mind a lot, you know, to find new possibilities. And because of the pandemic, you know, using the routine to having to do more exercises, to study more music. I'm doing meditation, you know, breathing techniques and stuff, cold showers, all that kind of stuff that is really exciting, you know, a communication with my body that I didn't have for many, many years. And also with my wife, you know, we're going through a personal thing very hard, unfortunately very common nowadays, which is cancer. You know, my wife was diagnosed with cancer in February of this year. She's going through chemo, like surgeries and stuff. She's doing great, you know, she's doing well, the treatment is fantastic. But I mean, it's atomic bomb,
Hmm.
one after another, you know, pandemic, cancer and stuff.
Man, I'm sorry to hear about
And
that.
regardless of that, I mean, we're strong.
Hmm.
We're very united. We are growing, you know, as a band and as a family, as myself, as a human being, you know, whatever. And in the sense, I have to thank the pandemic situation, you know, which is weird, because there's no catastrophe or no chaos that is complete. You know, when one window's closed, 10 other opens. It's up to you to be heads up and look around, you know, and find possibilities, because you are capable of being whatever and whoever you want to be, you know. And with of course you have to give a chance to yourself to be somebody else different, not somebody else but somebody different that could improve and learn something new, you know. And I think this pandemic situation really, at least for myself, it taught me that, you know, that Sepultura could be possible without the stage. I could be possible as a family without touring, you know, with that relation and being home and having that relationship daily and etc, you know. So in the sense that we have to face, like we were saying before, you know, face the chaos, face the situation, embrace the storm, as a song that we have in one of our albums, you know, embrace the storm. You're going to learn with the storm, you know.
Man, first of all, very sorry about the news. I'm glad things are looking
Thank
good for
you,
your
thank you
wife.
very
And
much.
second of all, just incredible words, man. Like I love hearing that. It's hugely motivational for everyone that's gonna be listening to this live. Everyone's gonna
I
be
hope
listening to this
so,
replays,
yes.
and it's even inspirational to me. And so thank you so much for like re-inspiring me to like want to get back with my guys, want to get back and writing and practicing.
Awesome.
And I can't wait to see. I felt like the last Sepultura was absolutely incredible, and I just to
Thank you, man.
see this light and this excitement in your eyes, even this many years in the game is so inspiring because I'm going to do this forever. I'm going to be in Trivium forever. And I know Sepultura is going
No
to go forever.
doubt.
And I love that. And it's so inspiring to see your positivity, and especially during a pandemic, to say, hey, here's the good things that's going on during it.
Definitely,
And
definitely.
I can't wait to see what Sepultura has in the future. It has been an absolute honor and a pleasure speaking to you. Please, let's stay in touch.
Thank you very
Let's
much.
tour.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, obrigado, obrigado. And one more time, tell us all about this Friday. This Friday, what we got coming out. There it is.
Here it
Everybody get it.
is,
Get it.
Sepultura, the album, August 13th,
Everybody.
with your very own Matt Heafy, among other metal legends. And very happy, very pleased. So don't miss it. It's a very special album, very unique, very spontaneous. You know, it was done during the worst period of our professional lives, but at the same time, you know, we created this together, and it was great, man. Thank you very much, Matt, again, and
Obrigado.
hopefully we see each other soon, and we can do that on stage live with
Let's do
everyone.
it. Let's do it. And please send my love to your family. Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time. Obrigado.
Thank you.
Até
Same
mais.
here.
Até mais.
Valeu, obrigado. Abraço.
Obrigado. That was amazing. Jeez. That was like one of my favorite chats, I think, with anyone ever. That was so cool. That was so great. It's crazy. And we can keep this on the VOD for this thing too, and we can keep this going on the podcast. Did I learn those things through his music? Just that concept of positivity? Like, that's not something we hear many other band people talk about. Like, I almost felt like I mirror what he says. I don't even know if he's aware of that. Pretty incredible. Like, just I felt like a lot of parallels of what he said to what I normally say. And just that was really, really great. Let's make sure the VOD is there. Don't private it or anything. We got to make sure we pull that out. What a cool chat, man. What a really, really cool chat. I mean, I've always known he's the legend musically, but I had, you know, like I said, I've been able to talk to him before about these things. So that was really fantastic.